Hey everybody, it's Angela and I am back with another process video. And for this one I was inspired by a layout I did in the past. I think it was my layout process video number 68. And someone had made a comment on that the other day that they really loved the layout of my granddaughter eating spaghetti, and she had seen a lot of people use just one photo, and she was wondering how to do, or the best way to do, a multiple photo in that same style. And so that just kind of inspired me, and I love it when people leave comments and ask questions like that, because yeah, it makes me think about it and inspires me to make another layout. And so on the previous one I had used a bunch of swirly stamps that kind of reminded me of spaghetti, and that was of my granddaughter, so I thought it'd be perfect to kind of scrap lift this same type of idea and use it on my grandson's layout, and then that way they'd be in completely different albums, so if they look similar, you know, they won't be side by side or anything like that. So you can see I just pulled out some of the Crate Paper DIY papers, and I got those at Tuesday Morning, a couple years ago I think, or at least a year ago, and I matted the photos on some black paper that just had the word today printed across it. And then I'm going to use the notebook paper there as my background, and that's because I want something a little bit open and lighter colored, because I'm going to do a bunch of stamping on it. And so I really liked the squiggly stamps that I used on my granddaughter's layout before, and so I pulled those out again, and then a bunch of my food stamps, because I have a really great stash of food related rubber stamps. And so this one is a Cocoa Daisy stamp that I got in a kit years ago when I subscribed to them, and that's one thing great about kits and getting tools in them, is that you can, continue using them over and over again. And so I took out that big swirl stamp. This one is a Cocoa Daisy, an old Cocoa Daisy stamp as well, just another scribble. And you saw there when I laid out my photos, I kind of lightly marked where I wanted them, just so I would have an idea of where to stamp. And I'm going to start out by doing a base of just all these scribbles, and then I will add the words and stuff in amongst those scribbles later. So this is just a scribble with a heart in the center of it from that same Cocoa Daisy kit. And then this one's another scribble that kind of tapers off. So I'm just going to place those all around where they'll stick out from behind my photographs. And then I have these splatter stamps. I don't know where those came from because I don't have the packaging anymore, but splatter stamps always work good for food layout, especially when it's little kids making a mess everywhere. It works perfect for that. So I have several different splatters, and I'm just going to add those in my scribbles. And this one is going to be a little bit more stamping heavy than the one I did for my granddaughter, mostly because it just seems to fit a little boy to be really messy. And on these photos he's scraping the bowl out and he's got it smeared all over his face, and he's just having a great time. So yeah, I wasn't afraid to do a little extra stamping on this. And before I went farther and put my words in there, I did know that I wanted to add a few little mats behind to bring some color in. I looked through some of my other food collections and I didn't really want to use them on this. I'm kind of saving those for some mini albums. So I just pulled from the DIY collection this cut apart sheet, and it has some nice teals and yellow and red, and those are going to be the colors that I go with. And I like that one I just cut out, that teal one with the little squares on it, because it reminds me of like green stamps, if anyone remembers those. But I don't actually wind up using it on this, but it does remind me of that. Now here's a cute little stamp, and hopefully you saw the packaging before. That's Ellie's Studio, I think. Yeah, these have all been in my stash for quite a while. and the packaging flashed by too fast for me to see it on my editing screen. So again, I'm just going to spread those colors out so that I have a little touch of red in that center mat, some yellow on that upper left, and teal on the bottom right, and then that red tag at the top. And now that I kind of know how much space my photographs and my mats are going to take up, I'm going to start putting the wording in. I have some different nom nom noms, and let's see, I think this one says get into my belly, get in my belly, which I thought was really cute for a kid's layout. And that one I think says dessert, yes please. Things like that, really cute little sayings. And I am just using black on all this. I thought about using some different colors and stuff, but I thought that might get a little bit too chaotic. And there you can see just all the different stamps that I have, and I just really love them and don't use them enough. So this is like a perfect way to play with your stamps and get out a bunch of them and, you know, use them. So I'm just looking through to see what else I want to put there. There's a little bit of space between that get in my belly and the red tag, so I know that I grab something to kind of place in there. And then I put that word foodie on the upper left. Yeah, I put a pair of cutlery there. And then I think that's all I'm going to do as far as the stamping, and I really love that. It's messy and chaotic, and yeah, just like my grandson. So there I'm just kind of figuring out where I want to place it. Things were starting to move down on the layout a little farther than I wanted, so I went ahead and placed that a little higher up. And I wind up kind of putting these down and pulling them up. I was having a hard time getting them exactly where I wanted them. But luckily the ATG adhesive isn't too difficult to peel up and reposition if you do it quickly. So there I go ahead and kind of get those placed. Then I slip that other one in behind. And yeah, I like just having that center photo being a little bit larger focal photo, and then having the other two supporting photos a little bit smaller. And then they're just kind of cascading, you know, kind of across that corner in a diagonal. And I wasn't, I guess, happy with that, so again I just kind of peel it up and reposition it before it, you know, really gets stuck down. And then I have these ephemera pieces, and I think this is from the Happiness is Homemade collection by Echo Park. I have a new one by Carta Bella too, and I'm not sure if I use any pieces from that or not. But yeah, I only use the ephemera, some of the ephemera pieces from my cooking kits, because like I said, I kind of want to save some of my papers and stuff for a mini album. So I thought I would just kind of be a little bit sparing, but pull a few of those in through this layout. And I really liked that sentiment, which was something about life is short, lick the bowl first, or something similar to that. And since he's got his hand in his mouth and he's licking the bowl and everything, I thought that was the perfect sentiment to use on there. So I'm going to go ahead and put that up on foam tape. And at this point I wasn't sure if I was going to use that as my title or not, and I actually do. But you'll see I kind of bring in some die cuts. I was thinking of die cutting a title for this, but I don't wind up doing that. So I put that up on foam tape. I just stuck a few more little things behind for color. just to pull that red all the way across that diagonal. And then because that's a white paper, everything kind of floats off the edge. So I decided I wanted to go ahead and mat it. And I pull out that same black paper I used to mat my photos with that just says today, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to use that or this yellow, but the yellow was still too washed out and the black really seemed to frame it and make it pop. So that's what I decided to go ahead and use to mat my layout. So I'm just kind of cutting it down so that there'll be a little border that shows all the way around. And that just kind of gives it that finished look and just frames it nicely. And then to bring in another texture and a little bit of shine to the layout, I decide to pull out some enamel shapes. And I was going to just use dots, but I couldn't find a teal that I liked in any of my enamel dots, but I had this teal in the hearts, so I go ahead and use the teal hearts and then yellow and red in just the dots. And I'm just going to sprinkle those around through all the stamped areas. Again, it just brings another touch of color. This one I think was a little bit more difficult for me than my granddaughter's, just because, you know, on a boy, although you can use flowers, I try to sometimes stay away from flowers for boys' layouts. So yeah, that's a good challenge for me. And so again, I think about using one of these dies, but I don't have one that says kitchen, which I really would have liked. But then I thought, you know what, that's enough on the layout. I really like how the stamping is. And so here are the close-ups. It just says foodie, nom nom nom, got some cutlery, get in my belly, going, going, gone, some more scribbles, you only live once, lick the bowl, nom, dessert, yes please. Yeah, so it just really fits the theme, and it's colorful, yet it's messy, and it fits for a boy layout, and so I really love how it turned out. And so yeah, thank you so much for the subscriber who asked about doing this style of layout using 3 photos. I really appreciate that and appreciate you inspiring me to create this layout. So if you guys have any questions, just leave them down below, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!